So you've just got yourself a flipping awesome Samsung Galaxy phone, the Z Flip 4. Congratulations on your new purchase, and I know that you know good phones aren't cheap, and that's why I'm making this video for you, because I want you to get your money's worth by maximizing its potential from day one. And do me a favor, if any of these tips help you in any way at all, a little thumbs up or possibly a subscribe would make my day, and I would appreciate it. Anyway, tip number one. So one of the unique standout features on the Galaxy Z Flip 4 is the cover screen. And one of the first things I think you should do is make it your own. Here's the easiest way to do so. Flip open the phone, go to settings, go to cover screen, and then tap on clock style. And here I want you to pick the clock style that you're instantly drawn to. Don't overthink it, because I found that when it comes to choosing something, it's usually best to just trust your instincts. So if you're overthinking it now, do this. Close your eyes, now open them. Which one of the clock styles did your eyes go to first? You got it? Okay, good job. Tip number two. Now, if you feel you really want to be different from everybody else, well, I respect that. And check this out. You can pick your own custom wallpaper if you want, like I have. So here's how you do it. Go to settings, go to cover screen, go to clock style, and now go to clock background image. Now you could choose one of the standard ones that everybody else chooses if you want, or you can choose one of your own images from your own gallery. And once you've chosen one, line it up however you want, and there we go. But check this out, there is another step to this, because what we want to do is make the clock stand out so it's easy to read on top of that background you've just chosen. And a good way to do this is to change the color. So on the clock style page, hit customize and choose a custom text color that works well with your background. So spend a little time on it. And once you've done it, you have now successfully made the cover screen your own. Tip number three. So now that you've nailed the custom look, it's time to level up the cover screen's functionality. And the Flip 4 does have improved cover screen functionality. So here's how we're going to do it. Go to settings, go to cover screen, go to widgets. And here, to start off with, I recommend we start with a clean sheet, so untick all of them. Now, let's go through them and decide exactly what you need. I personally listen to a lot of music and podcasts whilst on the move, so I'm going to enable that. Go through them yourself, decide which ones make the most sense for you. Another one that I like to use is the direct dial, so I can add my 3 most used contacts here to be dialed from the cover screen without opening the phone. Now, once you've chosen your widgets, hit reorder and set them up in the order of importance. So now once we flip the Flip 4 closed, a single tap wakes up the always on display, and a double tap unlocks the cover screen's full functionality. You can swipe right to toggle between the different widgets, and if you want to, you can actually add other widgets by scrolling all the way to the end and hitting the plus button. And if you hold down on the widgets, you can customize the order as well here if you want. In my opinion, it's just easier to do it within the settings menu on the big screen. So here's a bonus tip for you guys, 3.1. Once you double tap to unlock the cover screen, a swipe left brings up all your notifications, so you can check those out without having to open up the full screen. A swipe down gives you quick switches that you might find handy, and a double tap on the Bixby button will open up the camera. And if you're thinking, what the hell is a Bixby button? Well, I'm referring to the power button fingerprint combo. But at this point, a long push on that will open up Bixby. So we'll address that. Here's tip number 4. So if you're one of the people that didn't know what the Bixby button was and you never used Bixby, I think this one is going to be a subscribe worthy tip. Go to settings, advanced, side key. Now change this to power off menu. Now your power button is a power button. And here's another bonus tip. You might be tempted to customize the double push on the power key, but don't do it. This will disable the camera functionality when the phone is closed. And that ruins one of the best features on this phone. And that is the ability to shoot selfies with the best quality cameras that the phone has. And since we're on the topic of cameras, let me show you a couple of camera tips to level up your Flip 4 camera skills. With the flip in the closed position, double tap the power key and it opens up the camera. Tapping the screen starts a short timer to take a photo, and you can also use the volume rocker to take an instant snap if you don't want to count down. And another way to start the timer is to show the camera your palm. Now, when we flip open the device on the inside screen with the camera app open, you can hit the icon in the top right corner, and this will allow the person you're taking a photo of to see themselves in the cover screen so that they can perfect their blue steel look. So now is time to get down to business and work on maximizing the big screen. So hold your finger on an empty part of the screen. Go to the settings at the bottom of the screen, and here I recommend you set the home screen grid to 5:6, and allow me to explain why. The Flip 4 is a great phone for one-handed use, and the areas that your thumb can reach to without having to adjust your hand position is what I call the golden space, because this is an area that you can reach and tap with minimum effort. So by setting this to 5:6, you're actually maximizing that space that you can reach with minimum effort. So I'm not going to tell you what to put in this space, that's a choice you need to make, but just be strategic with the apps that you place in the golden zone and the way in which you place them. Tip number 7. So here's a quick one that will free up a bit more space on the home screen. Go to settings, go to display, go to navigation bar, and here try out the gestures. So not only does this look nicer and free up more screen space, it's actually the way that Apple and Google think you should be using a phone these days. And if you're coming over from iPhone, this will be absolutely necessary for you. But if you're an old school Android user, then you might prefer the button layout, so you can keep that if you want. And you know something? One day, we'll be able to control phones with just our thoughts. It's true. You'll see. So do you watch a lot of videos on your phone? And do you find yourself needing to adjust the brightness constantly to see what's going on? If the answer is yes, then you may want to do this one. Go to settings, go to advanced features, and here go to video brightness and set this to bright. And you can actually choose which apps use this bright mode. So choose wisely and keep in mind, bright screens do drain battery power faster. Tip number 9. So losing power fast is never a good thing, and neither is losing your eyesight. The next page will be useful if such things are a concern to you. So go to settings, accessibility, then visibility and enhancements. This page is full of useful things, and if you're the type of person who worries about running out of power, this hidden display tip might help. On this page, find the setting called extra dim, which is a name I've been called once or twice or 3 times. Thanks guys. But anyway, enabling this will reduce the light emissions from the screen and will reduce battery drainage a little bit by dimming the screen globally. And when I say globally, I'm talking about on your phone, not everywhere in the world. Tip number 10. So I've been dual wielding phones, and don't hate me, but I have been using an iPhone. And something that I noticed that is on by default on an iPhone, but isn't on the Samsungs, is this feature. Go to settings, go to display, go to Eye Comfort Shield and enable it. So eyesight might not be a concern to you right now, but maybe later down the road, you'll see that this setting is a good one. At least I hope you will. So set it to adaptive or to schedule. I prefer schedule personally, it gives me a bit more control. So have a little think about that one. Tip number 11. So Flip 4 when unflipped is quite a tall device. And if you want to use the phone one-handed, the sidebar is your friend, and setting it up the correct way will improve the user experience for yourself. And going back to the rule I spoke about earlier, which is the minimum effort rule, this will help with that. Go to settings, go to display, go to edge panel, and here choose the panels that make the most sense to you. If you're an iPhone deserter, then go to the Galaxy store, and I think you'll like the control center sidebar, and it does cost you about the same as half a cup of a Starbucks coffee, but I think it might be worth it. So select the sidebars that you want. You don't necessarily have to buy them. And once you've done that, it's time to get a handle of this situation. Tip number 12. So go to settings, go to display, go to edge panel, and now tap on handle. And here I recommend you adjust the position either to the right or to the left, depending on your left or right-handedness. And if you're ambidextrous, which wrist do you wear your watch on? Choose the other one. So now choose a color that doesn't clash with the background that we've chosen for the phone. Adjust the transparency if you want, and the size and the width. But the most important thing to adjust is the position. And you can do this by dragging these little arrows up or down. You don't want this too low where it's going to interfere with the gestures, but you want it in a position where your thumb can reach easily. Now when you drag the handlebar inwards, it brings out the edge panels. Tip number 13. So if you're flexing the Flip 4, you might not realize it, but some apps are specifically optimized for the Flip 4 when it's half opened. This is called flex mode. For example, the camera app, when you flex the phone with the app open, everything kind of shifts nicely into a layout built for this phone. But not all apps are optimized in this way, but you can have a similar experience with all of the apps on your phone if you do this one. Go to settings, go to advanced features. Here, go to the lab section and go to flex mode panel. Now you have a list of all the apps that you can force to use flex mode. Some will work well, some might not. You'll have to experiment with this, and that's why this is in the lab section of the settings. And here's another bonus tip for you to try out. This one's pretty cool. On the same labs page, enable swipe for pop-up view. Now if you swipe inwards diagonally from the top right corner, whatever's on the screen will pop out and float on the screen. And then you get a bunch of options like minimizing it or setting it to a split screen. Play around with it a bit because it's a pretty sweet little experimental feature. Tip number 14. So this one is an awesome tip in my opinion. Let me know what you think. So flex mode is kind of split screen, but at a funny angle. And this tip is about the regular split screen when the phone is fully open. And this is a really nice way to do it. So go to settings, go to advanced features and go to labs. And here, switch on swipe for split screen. Now to split screen any app that's on the screen at the time, swipe up with 2 fingers from the bottom edge. And this will split screen that app, and then you can choose what app you want to split it with. And before someone says it, no, I'm not flipping you off. That's the gesture you have to make this work. Okay, tip number 15, and here's another quick way to do split screening. Remember that nicely placed handlebar that we set up and positioned perfectly for your thumb? Well, swipe out one of the edge panels here and go to the apps panel. If you didn't add the apps panel, go back to that tip and add the apps panel. So what you can do here is actually drag the app from the side panel on top of any app that's open on the screen already, and that is another way to split screen. Tip number 16. Okay, so I've just shown you 2 kind of new ways to do split screen. Here's the boring old way, but sometimes the boring way is still the best. So that's why I'm showing you. So do this. Swipe half up or open backgrounding if you're using the buttons. Now if you tap on the app logo at the top, you can actually choose to split the screen that way. But that took 3 inputs, and you can see how the other method is quicker. So the 3 little dots at the center of the split screen, if you hold that down and drag up or down, you can actually resize the split. And if you tap those 3 dots, you can actually hit the little star with the plus in it to save that as an app pair that you can recall later exactly how you left it in terms of the split. So use that wisely and set up your favorite app pairs when you get some time. Tip number 17. So as you already know, the Galaxy Z Flip 4 is quite a tall display. It has what I believe is a 2.44:1 aspect ratio, which makes it great for watching movies, particularly in widescreen formats, but it's not the perfect fit. So here's a way to make movie watching in widescreen formats even better. Go to settings, go to display, go to camera cutout, and now choose your favorite movie streaming apps and manually set them to hide the camera cutout. Now when you want to watch movies, you can do so without any visual interruptions on the display. It won't crop the edges of the movie off either. It will fit perfectly on the screen. And when it comes to distractions visually, this will deal with that. But when it comes to other distractions, maybe you might want to get yourself the Galaxy Buds Pro 2. They do look pretty awesome. I haven't heard them yet personally, but I bet they're pretty good. Tip number 18. Okay, so now while we're talking about sound, if you're planning to do some gaming or watching movies or videos without earbuds, here's a quick tip on how to improve your audio quality from the built-in speakers. Go to settings, go to sound and vibrations, and here go to sound quality and effects. Now enable Dolby Atmos. Why? Because it sounds better. And I don't know why it's off as standard, but definitely turn this one on. And while you're here, if you think you're going to be gaming, definitely turn on Dolby Atmos for gaming as well. Tip number 19. So it doesn't matter how good you think your hearing is, it's worth getting a second opinion, in my opinion. And you don't need to visit a doctor to tell you, because Dr. Sammy can help, surname Flip. So get some good earbuds or over-ear headphones to do this. Then once you have, go to settings, go to sound and vibrations, and here choose Adapt Sound. Now run through this process and listen to Dr. Sammy. He'll help you. And trust me, the results here might surprise you. Tip number 20. So this is a cool new feature. Let's say as a rule, you use a specific audio app with a specific speaker in your house every day. What you can do here is actually tell an app to link immediately to that speaker whenever you use the app. And there's various ways you can use this, but here's how you set it up. Go to settings, go to sound and vibrations, then separate app sound. Now choose the app that you would like to link to a specific device, choose the device, and now they're paired together. And I'm sure you guys can come up with a few ways to use this, for example, with headphones or with other Bluetooth devices. And this tip is designed to save you time searching and manually pairing. Tip number 21. Okay, so things are about to get real. Do you know the easiest way for someone to pretend to be you? Well, here's one. They could take the SIM out of your phone and put it in their phone. It really is that easy. Now you can shut the possibility of this down so that it never happens. Go to settings, go to biometrics and security, then go to other security settings, and here set up a SIM lock. So what you're going to do is set up a PIN for the SIM, not for the phone, but for the SIM. If you have an eSIM, this won't apply to you, but if you have 1 or 2 real SIMs, you might want to spend 1 or 2 minutes doing this. Better safe than sorry. Tip number 22. So setting up a phone PIN unlock and fingerprints is pretty standard stuff, so I'm not going to walk you through that. My advice to you though when it comes to fingerprints is try and do your thumb and first finger on both hands. You can thank me for that one later, but here's the tip I want to show you. Because of the high up placement of the fingerprint sensor on the Flip 4 when it's in the open position, the face unlock becomes a better option for unlocking in my opinion. So register your face, but also do this. Switch off faster recognition, because if you leave this on, someone could potentially hold up a photo of you or pause a video with you in it and show it to your phone and unlock your device. By switching this setting off, you're making the face unlock more secure. And while you're here, make sure required eyes open is enabled as well. The last thing you want is someone scanning your face while you're sleeping and then snooping through your phone. Tip number 23. So a couple of the upgrades that Samsung have made on the Flip 4 improves the speed and power. Without speed and power, the world would not be round. And before I go off on a massive tangent, what I'm actually talking about here is the improved chipset in the form of the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 and the increased battery capacity. And the great thing about this phone is if you find yourself using the cover screen a lot more and you're naturally reducing the time spent on the big screen, ultimately you're going to save power. But what I want to do here in this tip is give you guys some battery life hacks that are actually quite hard to find. They're really embedded deep within the settings menu. And there's a chance that maybe no one else will ever tell you about these. So I'm going to tell you. Go to settings, go to device care. Now hit the 3 dots in the top right corner and choose automation. And here you can enable adaptive power saving. Your phone will optimize its battery reserves based on your usage patterns. But here's a disclaimer. This might actually sacrifice performance speeds in exchange for power reserves. Tip number 24. Now, here's a question. Are you willing to sacrifice speed for power? Again, if so, do this. Go to settings, battery and device care. Now tap on the battery graph and go to more battery settings. Here you can change the performance profile to light. So essentially you're reducing the performance output of the Snapdragon chip inside. But remember this, the Z Flip 4 has the most powerful Android processor to date. So limiting its performance just a bit isn't going to ruin the phone. And in fact, it's still going to be faster than most people's phones. But if you want the maximum speed and you're not that worried about power, then don't mess with this. So what's it to be? Power or speed? That's your decision. So tip number 25, thank you for making it this far into the video. So here's an important question for you. How long do you think you're going to keep your phone for before you upgrade it? If it's more than 3 years, you may want to enable this setting. Go to settings, battery and device care. Now tap on the battery bar again and go to more battery settings again. Here you want to enable protect battery. Now by not allowing your phone to reach 100% ever, it actually prolongs the expected life cycle of the battery cell. Think of it like buying a fast car but never actually redlining it, which is a sensible thing to do, but not much fun. So here's one that does the opposite and will maximize the speed. So go to settings, battery and device care. Now tap on memory and then tap on RAM Plus and set this to the maximum, which is 8 GB here on this device. Your phone will now use some of the storage memory as RAM, allowing your phone to basically double its multitasking ability. So this will reboot your device once you set it, but don't do it just yet because the last tip might be the most important of them all. Bonus tip number 2, go to settings, go to battery and device care, go to device protection. Now, for some strange reason, this is off by default. So I do recommend you enable it. The Z Flip 4 does have McAfee antivirus software built into Samsung's One UI. Now, if you're not sure whether you want to switch this on, ask yourself this question. Do you want your device to feel more secure? If the answer is yes, then what are you waiting for? So as you can see, the device care menu is an incredibly useful page, and I bet a lot of people never even look at it. So if you're using it, you're one step ahead. And check this out. If you hit the 3 dots in the top right corner, you can actually add an app icon to your home screen so you can get to it really quick without having to go to all the settings, because later on down the road, you might want to reduce the amount of power usage or increase the speed. Speed and power, like I said before, is what makes the world go round. Anyway, I appreciate you guys for watching this one. If you just subscribed, you're now one of the finest subscribers known to man, and I will see you in the next one, hopefully with more tips and tricks that you haven't seen before. See you there. Don't be late.